As a communal facility, as a public house, the local development plan has a duty to protect and provide those facilities for overall use of the community. If a facility such as this is lost, it is for the applicant to demonstrate that there is no long-term demand for such a use. The pub did cease operating in December 2012. The applicant purchased it in December 2013. We asked for evidence, meaningful evidence from the applicant to show how it had been marketed for reuse as a public house. Very little was forthcoming, and that is detailed in the report. By way of a comparison, our shopping policy, if we're looking to retain the retail vitality of the parade, we seek a minimum of 2 years of evidence of marketing at the site for retail purposes before we would consider it acceptable, that it's no longer viable or in demand. In this case, we haven't had any real meaningful evidence. The only evidence really submitted was that used for purposes of redeveloping the site, not as a
Absolutely, Yard.
Just wondering whether the fact that there's about 5 other pubs within walking distance might have an impact on that particular point.
And it is a fact that the pub has ceased operating in December 2012, but nonetheless local residents did raise it as a concern, and we had 36 letters of concern raising this as a primary reason.
Raising the same question I was about to ask.
To December 2015, which is, when did the application go in?
Just as a comparison in terms of the time period. March 2014, the applicant states the site was marketed to let as a public house since March 2014 with 3 separate letting agents without interest. The applicant submitted a letter from one letting agent which suggested that the only interest in purchasing the site came from the applicant himself. However, this was following marketing of the site as a pub conversion, not for any reuse as a public house. So really, the actual marketing was for a very short period of time, not consistent, and did not appear to be for reuse as a pub.
That 2-year period wasn't expired by that time anyway, was it? So there wouldn't have been the opportunity, if you're using that 2 years as a figure, for this applicant to have ever get.
The applicant chose to submit the application when they did, what I understand. And it was submitted on the 10th of June 2015.
Even if they had documentary evidence for that. Thank you.
Part of Grays. I have to say I haven't met a single resident in that part of Grays that agrees with this application. People have concerns actually on planning grounds. Last time I was here, it was for an application for some housing development almost opposite this site, and at that time we were told that that part of the road layout couldn't take any more traffic. I'm a little bit concerned that we now seem to be considering something with 15, 16 additional properties to be acceptable. It doesn't quite add up. As I say, I haven't had a single resident that agrees with this, and just picking up on what Councillor Lydiard said, there are other pubs in Grays. However, in the very local area, Grays Football Club has closed. The Tops Club, Marsh House Club, has closed. The Railway, the Pullman has closed. The Rising Sun or the Legion Club has closed. Even the Conservative Club, dare I say it, has closed. So we've seen a real reduction in the amount of pubs of this type of community facility. Now you may say that is kind of evidence that they're no longer in vogue, that people don't want pubs. But conversely, we've seen the Ship, which is very local, being taken over by new owners, having been closed for some time, and is now a thriving pub under Chris Riley. We've seen the Traitors Gate, that I know as the Half Moon, alongside there, a pub that was, frankly dying on its knees, taken over by young Ben, and is now thriving again. I am absolutely sure that if this were properly marketed for any length of time, there would be people, and local people would come in, take it over, and do what they've done at those other pubs. So I just ask that we do give the proper opportunity for some proper marketing before what we lose, what is a well-valued and kindly looked upon public facility.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Planning Committee, councillors. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening in favour of 48 Bridge Road, which is formerly known as the Bricklayers Arms. As you're probably already aware, this public house has been closed for over 4 years. This was initially put on the market in 2012 after the previous owners, who had actually refurbished the property to bring this pub back into life. But unfortunately, after a heavy investment, they decided, even after they had done that, that it was no longer viable. Economically, it was not viable. They could not sustain this pub, so they decided to put this property on the market in 2012. After nearly 1 year on the market, we decided to purchase the property, which was in December 2013. Soon after we took over the property, we marketed this property with 3 agents. 3 agents, one of the agents who's actually located on Bridge Road itself. The property was marketed for nearly 1.5 years. It was marketed on the open market. They tried everything to try to rent this property out because the property was empty. But unfortunately, the feedback that we got from the agent itself, that it was no longer viable. Nobody actually wanted to take on this public house because they thought it's just, because of the close proximity of nearly 9 other public houses within the 1 mile radius, they thought that it's just not viable. Nobody was interested in taking on this pub. At the moment, at its current state, it is practically a derelict building which is deteriorating every day. There's a lot of antisocial behaviour happening around that area, and it's in danger. Many, many nights I lay awake thinking about the future, what might it hold tomorrow morning in regards to this public house with the way things are going. People have even tried to break into the pub. We've even had squatters in this pub. We've tried everything. I think it's time now that we act. At the moment, I'm proposing, initially we went in to the planning application for 29 units to demolish the existing public house. But with the recommendation at the pre-app meeting from the officers itself, they recommended that they were advised that we keep the structure of the building because it's a landmark building, even though it's not listed. We went back, revised the plan from 29 units to 15 units. We've tried to work closely with the council in order to do that, and not only by doing that, we've agreed to sign a section 106 with the council for 30% affordable homes. And I'm willing to give the commitment here tonight, because this is a community use we're talking about. I won't be looking to sell on these properties. We will be looking to re-let the property through the council for social tenants, and this will be available for the people of Thurrock to enjoy. At the moment, I think the best way is that if this is given planning permission for 15 units, it's very, very important with the way things are at the moment. And at the moment, economically, the advice that I have had from many, many of the agents that I have spoken to, I can't see any future of it being as a public house. I've tried everything. We've had the property empty for nearly 2 years now, practically, doing nothing. If we could actually re-let it or try to give it to somebody to take on, and we could sustain it as an investment or something, we would have done that by now. It's been 2 years, it's nearly 4 years. I think it's time that we act now. If it's possible, I'm just urging all members to please support my planning application for 15 high-quality house units.
Okay. Concerns over the fact that these flats don't have any parking provision whatsoever. However, I do accept that it is within 1 kilometre of Grey Station, so council guidelines suggest that it's perfectly acceptable. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it is actually acceptable, but these are guidelines to be voted for in the past. But there is a guideline here that the council suggests that the community aspect is important. We have voted in favour of that in the past for this very reason. So for me, I would probably look to follow the council recommendation of refusal. And obviously, if we do look to approve the application, then I think there's going to have to be a substantial reason to do so if we're going against the council recommendations.
So I wanted to listen to everyone else, but I am struggling to see where a derelict pub compared to 15 flats. The flats seem to be much more of a community hub than a derelict pub will be, so I am struggling to know where to go with this one. Please help me.
Okay, anyone else? This is a very well-known building in around what I would call sort of the old Grays area. Obviously a car-free zone, as this is planned application is mentioned. The area is bulging at the seams with residential at the moment, and although we do have quite a number of units to build over the next few years, you have to really do think, is this in the right place at the right time at the moment? My sentiments here lead me to believe that, as Councillor Lydiard once mentioned, you're trying to put a quart in a pine pot in this area. And you all know my thoughts about the Tops Club several months ago with small one-bedroom flats, which I'm not going to remind you what I said, but I wasn't quite impressed with that one either. But we have obviously a local planning policy that protects community buildings, and my suggestion here is that we should actually support that on this one, because I think it's 15 units into one building this size. It really doesn't inspire me at all. So I would be quite happy to recommend this refusal. If anyone else has got anything to say it now. Unless we have a seconder for this, to refuse it. Okay. And those against? Okay. So reference number 15/00643/FUL Bricklayers Arms, Bridge Road Race has been refused.